Assalamu alaikum. Today, we finally made it to the last day of Tabligh week. Alhamdulillah. A lot of different majalises really stepped up. Out of the 58 majalises, 32 of them maintained a continuous communication with the national team. And that really paid off because 27 majalises were able to reach their targets and their goals. There were ups, there were downs. Some of them really struggled, and yet there were other majalises that exceeded their targets altogether. We saw messages, inspirational quotes, video presentations, everything geared towards Tabligh. And the greatest pleasure, it wasn't in seeing individual majalises reach certain heights, it was seeing the entire Majlis immerse themselves into Tabligh. We had content shared from the national that had almost 1,000 views. We had nearly 150 Dawat camp registrations, and above all, we had more than 330 Daeen who registered, Khudam who stepped up. They took that leap of faith and they became Daeen. Alhamdulillah. Just to put that in perspective, Khudam now have the highest number of Daeen in the country. Alhamdulillah. We hoped and we prayed that at least we should have 313, but Allah Almighty blessed us with a greater number. But that doesn't mean that we stop here and we close the chapter. In fact, there's no way we can ignore the Daeen. Absolutely not. The real work starts now. We'll begin communicating, sharing all kinds of resources so that we can get our Daeen to be masters of the art of Tabligh, so that they could love it, passionately enjoy it, and begin to really make a difference around them. Now let's get to the champs. For the small Majalis, it was a Majalis that is situated in a small town in Massachusetts on the outskirts of Boston. The small Majalis champs of this year's Tabligh week is Fitchburg Majalis. Barakallahu lakum, mashallah. They really stepped up. They took the challenge of Daeen recruitment and Dawat camp registrations, and they just conquered it. Alhamdulillah. A noteworthy contender, well, that was Columbus, who really stepped up for the Daeen registration and even took a shot at the Dawat camp registration. And among the small majalises, Oshkosh also stepped up with an above-the-target approach on the Daeen recruitment. Barakallahu lakum to all of the top majalises in the small Majlis category. For the medium majalises, well, the award goes to one of the top 5 big cities of their big state of Texas. The medium Majlis for this year's Tabligh week is Austin Majlis. Barakallahu lakum. Although it was very, very close between Austin and RTP, it was down to the wire. But Austin gets the gold here. RTP is of course a noteworthy contender. They did an amazing job, and it's hard to see which one of them really got first. For Daeen recruitment in the medium Majlis category, some noteworthy mentions are Bronx, Bay Point, and Connecticut. And finally, for the large Majlis champs, the gold goes to the automobile capital of the world, the great city near the Great Lakes. Alhamdulillah, this year's Tabligh week large Majlis victor is Detroit Majlis. Barakallahu lakum. They just dominated from the very beginning. They reached the Daeen recruitment target and then just switched gears and reached the Dawat camp registration target as well. Alhamdulillah. Now some noteworthy contenders were South Virginia, a very large Majlis that really communicated well and worked hard. And Brooklyn, who also achieved the target early on. And then Baltimore, the Majlis that came out of nowhere, just achieved their targets with such ease. Now some Majlises that weren't able to dominate with the Dawat camp registration but did really well with Daeen registration are Muqami, who constantly worked on it and got to their target. And Queens Majlis that came into Tabligh week ahead of the game. Barakallahu lakum to all of the champs of this year's Tabligh week. We now have less than a month before Dawat camp, which is scheduled for February 12th. So there's still time to get more Khudam to register and join the camp. Hope to see you all there, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.